Imagine a huge, stinking dead whale washed up on your beach, and the only way to move it was to fill it with explosives and detonate it? Well, these people did. Watch what happens when you detonate a whale with dynamite. On November 9, 1970, the residents of Florence, Oregon stumble upon a massive 45-foot, 8-ton whale washed up on the beach. The whale was dead, and it was starting to stink. This wasn't just a problem, it was a stinking whale of a problem. The Oregon State Highway Division, responsible for the state's beaches, was called in to remove the whale. Local officials were concerned that people curious about the carcass might climb on it and fall in. The agency had to act fast. But how do you remove a whale of such colossal size? After consulting with U.S. Navy and munitions experts, Assistant District Highway Engineer George Thornton decided to treat the carcass as a boulder and to use dynamite to dislodge it. The plan was to remove the whale the same way they removed any other large obstruction. They were going to blow the whale to pieces, out toward the sea, and the fish and seagulls would eat most of it. A crowd of spectators and local reporters gathered on the beach on November 12, about a quarter-mile from the carcass. The engineers expected the whale to explode into small pieces, which seagulls and other scavengers would take care of. The plan was audacious, unprecedented, and risky, but it was the best they had. On the day of the blast, 20 cases of dynamite were used. The hope was that the explosion would disintegrate the whale, leaving the cleanup to seagulls and other scavengers. The dynamite was buried primarily on the leeward side of the big mammal, so as most of the remains would be blown toward the sea. Spectators and local reporters gathered on the beach, a quarter-mile from the carcass. The engineers expected the whale to explode into small pieces, which seagulls and other scavengers would take care of. The anticipation was palpable. Everyone was waiting for the big bang. The explosion was, well, let's just say it was more than anyone bargained for. Blubber was blasted beyond all believable bounds. It rained down on spectators and even damaged cars. The blast was so powerful that it sent chunks of blubber flying over 800 feet away. The aftermath was chaotic. The smell was overwhelming, and the cleanup was far from over. The seagulls, expected to help with the cleanup, were nowhere in sight. The remaining chunks were of such a size that no respectable seagull would attempt to tackle anyway. As darkness began to set in, the highway crews were back on the beach, burying the remains, including a large piece of the carcass, which never left the blast site. It was a long, tiring day for everyone involved. So what did we learn from this explosive solution? Well, if a whale ever washes ashore in Lane County again, they'll certainly remember what not to do. And as for you, what would you do if a whale washed up on your local beach? Would you opt for dynamite, or would you choose a different path?